Hi, I'm Grace.
And I'm Ek, and this is Off the Duff.
The new year is underway, and one topic that usually kind of bubbles to the top at this time of year is that of resolutions or goals. A new year can feel like a fresh start, and who doesn't want to tweak a few things in their life to make it better?
Yeah, when it comes to goals, whether they're set at the beginning of the year or whatever, I've never been one of those, 5-year plan kind of gals. I don't know, I actually recently had a friend ask me, do you plan things out ahead of time or do things just sort of happen for you? And definitely the latter. Things just happen for me. I mean, things appear and then I make goals, if you will, based on that, but I don't sit and think 5 years from now this is going to happen. So I don't think super long term, but if an opportunity comes up or I get an idea to do something, then I start planning goals to sort of make that happen. So I might have short-term goals like I'm going to do X number of training days or X number of speaking gigs a month or a year or whatever. But for me, I think as long as I've made like forward progress or headway on something, I feel like I'm working towards my goal, but I don't ever feel like I'm just trying to get my goal done so I can cross it off. So I don't know if that's kind of how you see goals or kind of how you approach those.
I'm similar. I lived by the seat of my pants for a really long time, and then I started actually setting goals for myself. And I usually kind of established whether it's a goal of something that I want to have or if it's someplace I want to go, if it's an experience, things like that. And then I evaluate each goal based on its achievability. Not that some of them are not achievable at all, but more a matter of this goal would take me maybe 6 months, or this goal is going to take me 5 years or 10 years or whatever. I don't really live with a 5-year plan, and I'm definitely not the kind of person who organizes my mind that way. But what I will do with a really long-range goal, like for example, when I wanted to move to Oregon, I'll break it down into smaller pieces. I hit phase 1, and then once phase 1 is done, I can move on to phase 2 or something like that. But something that I've kind of realized lately is that my goals have they've dwindled down into sort of a to-do list. I feel like I've kind of lost my long-range vision, and I think that that's bothering me a little bit. There's something to be said for wandering around without a map or an itinerary, but if you do it for too long, eventually you're going to start feeling lost. And I think that that's kind of where I'm getting at this point, is I need to kind of reevaluate a little bit.
Yeah, and I think for me also just the goal is sort of just a direction that I want to go. Or I think because otherwise if I have just this hard goal, then I feel like when I get done with it, I get complacent because I feel like, well, I've done that now. I can kind of just sit back and let things happen. One thing that I read recently that we've talked about this a little bit is that kind of, I think, changed our focus maybe a little bit. I was reading from the Minimalists on the minimalist.com, and they had an entry on their blog about living 100 days without goals, which kind of made me go, what? So the first thing I do, of course, is text you and go, what do you think about this? And you're like, what? And it's the whole concept of living without goals. Yeah, we were like, but then I think we really had a good discussion going on it, on goals versus intentions. I've been thinking about it as not like without goals. You have to have these, I don't want to call them milestones because I think that's actually when goals get given too much weight when you call them milestones. But if you just say, here's something I want to do, but instead of a quantified amount, like going back to the training, if I say I need to do 2 training days a month and 1 speaking gig a month, but I don't hit those numbers, like I haven't reached my goal. So I've turned it more into an intention. I think I'm going to try and do this, with no goals as it is, and just say I have this intention of doing training and speaking gigs for and with creative professionals. Because I think for me, if you have that goal in mind, you might say, oh, I want to lose 100 pounds in the next year. And then you only lose 92. Damn it, I missed my goal. I only lost 92 pounds. You lost 92 pounds. And I don't get disappointed when I miss it, but I do feel like having that quantified amount is so focused on the destination and not the journey to get there.
Well, and that kind of brings up a point of how easy it is when you're working with that sort of goal model, the deadline driven, quantifiable, quantifiably driven kind of goal. It's really easy to fall into the trap of delaying happiness, or delaying satisfaction, or and which I think that's a really terrible trap to fall into, because we have the only day we are guaranteed is the one we're in. If we start delaying our ability to feel happy or feel satisfied in our lives, based on hitting some sort of quantifiable target, or benchmark, then we're removing the ability from ourselves to feel happy in the moment and in the now, and we're losing the opportunity to appreciate what's right in front of us.
Yeah.
A good example would be our family holiday gathering. We had a menu, we had a gathering time, we had everything figured out, and then we were hit here with a really serious ice storm, and we lost power for a couple of days. And that could have been an easy way to derail the entire holiday, because my goal was, I'm going to serve this food, I'm going to, do these things. And instead we adapted. Our power came back on miraculously the night before. Everyone was still able to come over, and we just ordered pizza. But if I were so focused on what my original plan was, and so focused on serving this particular kind of food or whatnot, or the event going in this particular way, then the entire day would have been spoiled, and I would have missed out on the opportunity to enjoy that time with my family. It's like the idea that you can only be happy once you have found the perfect mate, or once you are driving a particular kind of car, or once you have a large enough house, because that means that until that goal is reached, you're depriving yourself of enjoying your life. And I think that's a really, really dangerous way to approach the world.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that the minimalist said was he said if something, he was crawling out of he felt like he was crawling out of a crater from something that, had happened to him. And so he instead of getting out and saying, I'm going to go towards, I'm going to go get to those mountains over there, he just basically said, to the north I have mountains, to the south is desert, to the east is forest, and to the west is, ocean, or something like that. And it was like, I'm just going to go in that direction, not to get to the mountains, but I'm going to go north. And I might get to the mountains, I might not get to the mountains, I might go past the mountains and see what's past there. But I am making an intention to go towards the mountains. My intention this year is to work on creative projects with my fun, creative friends. And that just means whatever that means. So I'm not like, for instance, this show right here, so I just want to work on that and just do fun stuff. I don't have an end goal in mind, just so long as I'm enjoying the journey, or learning, or failing, or whatever it is I need to do along the way. I'm living it, like you say, I'm having that happiness because I'm creating. And if I'm not happy, I can change that without worrying about the goal. Like, oh no, but if I change this, then I won't get to that goal. Well, I don't have that goal to begin with, so I don't need to worry about that. And it's that living in the moment, like you said, the same kind of thing, enjoying it while I have it.
I know when we decided that we were going to do this show, we weren't really sure. We knew we wanted to create something. We knew we wanted to use this platform, and eventually we came upon the idea of releasing 2 videos a month, which is quantifiable.
Yes.
But even if we miss our Saturday release date, neither one of us calls up the other one and berates them.
Right.
I mean, we both understand that we have very full lives besides this. And so I think that having that sort of relaxed attitude is really key. Just keep meandering in a generally progressive sort of direction, with a vague idea of what I want to see and do along the way. But I don't want to cut myself off from having experiences, and I certainly don't want to spend my time punishing myself just because I didn't get something finished by 4 o'clock. So I think that's how I intend to kind of implement this idea, and it's probably going to be something that evolves over the year. I would like to shift my intentions away from merely a weekly to-do list, which feels very drudgery-like, and instead have a list that inspires me to keep getting off my duff. So I'm curious for anyone who's watching, if you set resolutions or do you set goals? Is this something that has worked for you, or do you? I mean, I know there are people out there who think resolutions are stupid. It's just it's an arbitrary demarcation point when we shift to a new year. And so, if so, how do you make progress in your life? We would really love to know.
Let us know in the comments, like, how do you approach goals or don't approach goals? And what do you guys think about this not having goals? And is that just a matter of semantics, or how do you delineate it? What's your feedback? Because this has really been a conversation that we've been having, and I've been enjoying having. And we started out joking, going, "Oh, I'm sorry, not a goal, an intention." But of course, what we're trying to do is actually shift our thinking over to that. So how are you looking at the new year? How do you intend to get off the duff?